Hi, everyone. Good to be here with you. I'm Zach Bourne. I'm a sales engineer here at Transfinder. Today, we are going to be covering a webinar talking about the Transfinder Trifecta. Joining me for the webinar, I've got my CEO and president, Tony Civitella. Tony, I'll turn things over to you to kick us off to get started with the webinar.
Thank you, Zach. Exciting moment. This is our first series of the year, so I feel like it's been a while since we all got together here. A lot of great announcement here, of course. Today we'll go through what this means with this all-in-one solution. It's Trifecta. Really, it's the three products. So you'll hear Zach and I just talk about really the big products. The Plus, of course, Routefinder PLUS, which really changed the industry. It's coming up for now 2 years that we released this product, and it's growing every single day. Major releases are coming out about 3 to 4 months. Every 3 to 4 months, we're having a big major release. Stopfinder, our parent app, of course, and Wayfinder. But the one thing I want to do is you'll see the next screen here is the QR code. So you've seen these things. If you're going on restaurants lately, everyone's been using them. We're having a lot of fun with these things, and you'll see at our next release, there's going to even a QR code for even how to get to a list of students, but I don't want to give you more information than I need to. I feel like someone's kicking me underneath the table here, but we want to hear from you. So there's going to be a form, which, by the way, a product called Form Finder. I'm not sure it's hard for you not to hear all about it. We've been talking about it. We've been getting a lot of feedback from you guys using this product we're using it internally, but it's part of the Routefinder PLUS family. We want to hear from you, so you could use your phone and go to this form. There's a lot of things on there. It's based on this presentation, this webinar. So if you just want to have it ready, fill it out perhaps as you go, or we're going to present this to you again at the end of the presentation, so you could do it again. There should be a link that I think we were going to email you guys. I'm sorry, it's going to be right inside the chat. So if you want to not use your phone, you could also use your computer. So there's a lot of cool things with that. You're going to hear more and more about it. And obviously, for all of you that have Routefinder PLUS, this is baked into your functionality. So we'll talk more about it. But we're using it internally. But let's get going. Let's talk about what this Trifecta means. Again, is the three big product that we're talking about. So Zach, back to you.
Let's do it. So I'll jump into it. If you didn't get a chance to pull out your phone and grab this QR code, like Tony mentioned, before we wrap up the presentation, I'll pull this back up. But what are we going to cover today on the Transfinder Trifecta is really we're going to talk about three big products that we have. Routefinder PLUS, our routing software, some of the things that make that unique. Our Stopfinder parent application. So apps for parents and guardians can download on their phones, see their transportation information. And our in-vehicle application for drivers, Wayfinder. But most importantly, we're going to talk about what makes these apps great, but also how they work together and why it's important that you have an ecosystem like this where your tools are communicating, where everything's working together. And so we call that our Transfinder Trifecta, right? So some of the big benefits that we've seen from this, and really a lot of this was driven from what clients told us they were looking for, is they wanted to be able to communicate information in real time. Syncing information back and forth between platforms was slow, information was out of date, people were seeing different things. Now we can keep the entire platform synced in real time, right? Everyone is all up to date. So if you make a change in one platform, you're going to see your parents seeing that information. You're going to see your drivers, your district staff, your transportation. They're all managing one platform, seeing the same information. So that's the big benefit that we see out of having, like Tony called it, our all-in-one platform, our Transfinder Trifecta. And so we'll go through this presentation and we'll talk about some of the specific ways that these are benefiting our clients, how they're communicating, how they're working together.
And Zach, I got to add, of course, all-in-one, it's been an investment that Transfinder has made past 4 or 5 years at least to get us where we are today. We do believe we want to be able to provide you one platform that solves all these problems and really gives you these solutions. So that's really the excitement that it's still with us here at Transfinder, that we could now start saying how we have the all-in-one solution. And again, today we're only talking about 3 products specifically. It's why it's Trifecta. But when you talk about all-in-one, it goes beyond these 3. But I know we don't have the time to go through that. But please send us some feedback. I know there's chats, there's questions, so I'm sure those are provided for all of you here attending. So please give it to us. Send us some questions. Maybe you want to stump us, talk to us about that. But again, today we're going to be talking about those 3 items. But the all-in-one solution means we have really all those solutions that you guys need to do your day-to-day jobs. So go ahead.
That's it. So we got to start somewhere in the trifecta.
Right.
For us, we want to start at what's really at the core and what Transfinder started with, and that's our routing platform. So Routefinder PLUS, I really wanted to touch high level on some of the things that sets Routefinder PLUS apart, and the easiest way to figure out what do we need to tell prospects or people looking for routing softwares, what have our clients told us they love about our software. So we've done some polling internally here to clients. We've gotten feedback from them, and some of the top things our clients say they love is how Routefinder PLUS is helping increase their routing efficiency, the safe and easy stop creation we offer. You'll hear us talk about our safe walk to stop boundaries that we create, our map accuracy and how many things that impacts, including placing students, creating non-eligible zones, safe stop boundaries, walk to school, walk to distance. So many things are impacted by having accurate maps that Routefinder PLUS is offering. And then how all that works together to be able to offer automation that you can trust. And that last one's a key piece, because we hear so often systems promote automation, but users end up getting stuck in the system where the automation is unreliable, and they spend actually more time ended up fixing or changing that automation than they could have just done doing it manually. So we really feel like we've created a system here that offers reliable automation, and we hear that back from our clients as well, which is a good feeling. So I'm going to jump into the.
I got to ask you. I'm going to. Some of these things I'm trying not to interrupt you too much, but there's some good questions already coming through here about, as we talk about all-in-one. There are clients and prospects that are talking about, hey, we do have other platforms so for GPS and so forth. Does that mean? What does that mean? Well, we are still. We started out over a decade ago to be the company that integrates with everyone. We're still doing that. So there's a lot of companies we still integrate with. We're going to continue working with them. So I just want to let them know that as we talk about the all-in-one, doesn't mean you have to go everything with our solutions. There is a lot of complementary products out there that we were promoting heavily in the past. We still recommend them. So I just want to, I think there's some questions coming through with that. I want to make sure I bring that out right away.
A good call out, right? Some of these services offer features people love, and pulling it away from them would be challenging. But we also hear people want less vendors, not more, right? They want one solution. So I wanted to start by kicking off talking about what it means to offer increased routing efficiency. So with Routefinder PLUS, a few things that we found. One important thing is optimization cannot be one size fits all. So we really have an optimization tool that's meant to be localized for your district. And that means it's using your district policies. How long can students ride the bus? How many students can ride this bus? How many students even could you place at a stop, right? That way you don't have homeowners calling up saying, I've got 30 kids out in front of my house waiting for a bus stop. So your district policies really are what drives our optimization tools. They help constrain it and really make it something that's going to be functional for your district. The other big piece of feedback we got there is it's great to apply optimization, but also need to adjust it, right? We hear battling back and forth. Okay, the system says a route should look like this. I know that I can't pick up Jimmy first. He's got to be the last stop. I change it, the system changes it back, I change it, and it becomes a back and forth battle. So again, it's got to be localized for your district, and it's also got to be easy to apply and also easy to adjust these optimization tools. So once we've had those smart pieces in place, that's where you can really see some of the power. And trip absorption is one of the things we've gotten so much feedback from, for sure, Tony. I'm sure you have lots of good stories, but we have districts telling us that they're dealing with driver shortages. One district reached out and said they lost 11 drivers overnight on a Friday, and they had to go through that weekend and readjust their routes. So they're really utilizing our trip absorption tool to eliminate or find efficiencies within their routing system because they're forced to due to those driver shortages.
And there's something that we've obviously made a lot of changes, and I'm also responding to some people here. So I'm personally responding to some of you, as you probably could tell, uh, during the chats. But Routefinder Plus has significant automation and optimization tools, as Zach just talked about. But it's still on the base of that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to use all the optimization. You don't have to do that. Obviously, we recommend you start learning those things. You start dabbling into those functionality, because you're going to get so much more out of it. But if you went from Pro to Plus, yeah, it's a different interface, but the fundamental, how you build these trips, really have not changed. It just looks different. So I just want to bring that up there. So it's a learning experience. We're all doing this together. So just bring that up.
Just a way to add to, right? To increase some of your tools and capabilities. Obviously, one of the biggest impacts we offer within our routing platform is the ability to optimize across multiple trips. So you can imagine taking 10 or 50 or 100 trips all going to your elementary school and saying, let me see if there's efficiencies that I can find here. Is there ways I can move stops trip to trip? Is there ways I can eliminate time, distance? Now built into the system, we use the routing algorithm there to be able to make those decisions for you and help get you started. Well, cool. I want to move on to one of the other big things that our clients say they really appreciate and what Routefinder Plus is offering them. And that's this whole picture of how do we automate? And automation cannot just be a math calculation, right? Again, it's got to take your local district, your rules, and put that into place. And so again, we start with that map accuracy. One of the most important things is knowing where your students actually live. And that's why we work with local GIS offices. We source your local county maps to get parcel and address points. And that way, when we place the students on the map, we can feel confident we actually know where those students live. And so much more is built on that. Where's a safe stop for them to get so they're not crossing a street? So those safe and accurate map placements are the foundation we build on. And then from there, we build what we call our safe walk to stop boundaries. This is a fundamental thing because systems that don't have this in place, that they're just using a math calculation, okay, where's the closest stop? Anything that's within 0.25 miles, let the kid go ahead and walk there. I might be having students cross highways, roads that I know that are unsafe. It's impacting so many other things. And so that's why we see with our safe walk to stop boundaries, our professional team helps put those into place for our districts. And once they have them, that's when you can actually trust the automation. As students start to come in, as they start to request transportation, you can trust the system to automate that process because it's going to put students on the safest stop rather than the closest stop for them.
I got to add about this right here, because the safety is obviously something that we are always have to be top of mind. We did a survey to our client base, and we got a great response. And they talked about the geocoding part, right? How accurate our maps are and how important it is to have an accurate location. And of course, we talked about what are the benefits that you have gotten from our product. And there's tons of things. Of course, the efficiency and optimization, that 70% of you said that is ranks the highest, right? Really nice. 50% of our clients saying what ranked the highest is also the accuracy. And it doesn't mean that the other 50% don't see that as like the not important, but that means you can't live without. 50% of our clients said, I can't live without that piece. So you want to talk about accuracy and safety, top of mind. So that's something I want to share that as part of what our clients have come back to us saying from our surveys. And again, we've been increasing our surveys because we want to hear from you. And again, Zach, how many times, and everyone here in the room, how many times you've heard me say, we want to hear from you, really want the good, the bad, and the ugly. So right? So go ahead.
Well, cool. The last thing I really want to wrap up with on functionality here is, and I've used this term a few times, but kind of localized maps. It's a localized system. And what we mean by this is there's not going to be a routing platform that's one size fits all for every district. The platform really needs to take into account things that are unique to your district, including things like map changes. So that's why we allow districts to customize their map, say what streets can be used, which ones can't, what turns can I make, where unsafe zones for me to send a bus down, right? which
Zach, you gotta love this right here. Someone actually just made a statement that they find that our maps, and I'm not saying we're better than Google. I mean, that's a close to $1 trillion valuation, I'm thinking at this point, right? I mean, that's hard to compete with a company that size, but says that they're seeing that at times our maps are more accurate than what comes with Google Maps. And it's true because remember, Google has to wait till some data comes to the top. We get them right from the source, a lot of time right from your local GIS department, and it's very accurate, especially the address points and the parcels. They're right. Someone could have just added, build a new house. The county department just has it and it shows up in your map. So yeah, it can happen, but that's the advantage of having localized maps. So yeah, thank you for the comment. It was perfect timing, Zach, that you're talking about the localized map, and then someone just made that statement in the chat. So very
it's a
cool.
great addition. That's a
Yeah.
great addition. So
Yeah.
within the localized map, we've got a feature that clients have really benefited from that we hear positive feedback on, which is the idea of travel scenarios, right? Because what we hear is maps are not the same throughout the day, right? There's roads that I can take maybe in the morning that in the afternoon become too backed up with traffic. Same with maybe there's turns that have become unsafe to make, anything like that. You can build into our routing platform using our travel scenarios. The idea is each trip is going to be a unique scenario. If it's an AM or a PM, if it's a large bus or a small bus, so you can make changes to the maps that'll impact it based on that scenario. So this kind of localization sounds like some setup, and the truth is we find that that's the best way to do it, because setting up your maps correctly means I'm not going to have to go and change the driving paths of 100 different routes as I build them, right? When my maps are up to date, when they know what rules are in place, that means that I can trust as I build the routes that it's going to be routed and shared accurately. And that becomes so important too as we start to share this. So this is where it gets into our trifecta. When drivers are out on the road, especially if you have a substitute driver and they get off path, it's important that they know that map information too. And so with our routing platform, as your transportation team makes changes to the map, drivers will see that on the road as well. So when they're getting rerouted, it'll know if a street's been marked as unsafe to take or a turn's been marked to avoid, and it's going to reroute them using that local information there. That's the kind of changes that you just don't see using a general turn-by-turn navigation tool, right?
Right. Well, listen, this is about the maps, of course, as we mentioned. This is the part that it's, we're talking about localization. Again, we normally don't go that much detail in there, but that is the foundation. This is really when you're building a house, the maps are the foundation. If things are not right, but you're never going to get something perfect also. So I don't want to let you think our maps are going to be perfect. They may need some adjustment. They might need some tweaking. They might need some of your local knowledge in there, and that's what let you do that. Our system lets you put everything you need to put in there. Even if there's a left-hand turn that you want to try to avoid or completely prohibit it, you could do that. And by the way, that left-hand turn might be okay, in late, evenings, and if you're doing field trips and so forth. But maybe at noon, that left-hand turn, let's prohibit it. So those are the things that, yeah, we want to talk about maps and it's how it's localized, but we want to make sure that you have tools right in our system that you can make those customized change. So we got to keep talking about that. So cool.
Hopefully that gives a pretty good high-level view of some of the features that distinguish Routefinder Plus. I did want to talk a little bit about, great, I've got this great routing platform. It does so much for me. What does the trifecta mean? What does the whole picture look like? And so I want us to think about what it means to manage routing changes as they happen. This is stuff that transportation departments deal with on a daily basis. Right now, what tools do you have? What processes do you have to go through to communicate out those routing changes as they happen? Using our platform, having Routefinder Plus for routing, our Stopfinder parent app, and our Wayfinder app for drivers means as routing changes happen, they're immediately communicated out. So for our drivers, what we see is drivers are immediately going to see the most up-to-date route information. So if I'm going out to drive a route today, we've had a new student added, a new stop added, that's going to be right there in my platform. I don't have to print out a route sheet. I don't have to radio a driver. They're going to be able to see it in their app as they're going out on the road. We also found with our in-vehicle app, it's important to empower drivers as well. Sometimes changes happen right on the road that dispatch and our transportation team can't keep up with. So if I'm going out, I'm supposed to be driving bus 12 today, but there's a flat tire. Drivers can make those changes right from within the in-vehicle app and say, instead of bus 12, I'm taking bus 16. And they'll make that change there. Again, it's communicated across the platform. Can also mark to skip a stop because a student may not be riding, or add an additional stop because they need to pick up another route stop that they can't get to. They can do all those changes from within the in-vehicle app. And what's happening is that information is getting shared across the platform. So we're storing a daily calendar. That way, from transportation, I can go back and say, okay, yesterday, who drove this route? What bus did they take? What stops did they go to? And I've got that full information stored in my system there. I can really see it in real time as it's coming in from the vehicle.
Some questions coming in about this product here. It's obviously it's called Wayfinder. There's going to be coming up here shortly about this product specifically. What Zach is trying to make is the correlation of you're making changes to the street files. The street files need to now be consumed by the navigation and driver app. So they're the same thing, and that's part of really our secret sauce. That any change you make or any tweaks you make, that has to go into this product. So he's got a little session just about this, about Wayfinder. So stay tuned for that. But that's really the big piece. And obviously, we're educating our clients as much as possible about what this means, because it's a new product that we have. It's called Wayfinder, and very unique for how it works.
So we'll definitely dig in, like Tony said, we'll cover some more features offered there. Just like we'll also talk a little bit more in depth about our parent app. But again, just want us to be able to imagine as I'm making changes in my routing platform, we have an idea now how our drivers can stay up to date. Our parents can stay up to date with that just as well, right? So if a vehicle's running a little bit late due to traffic, from our routing platform, we can communicate that out to our parents, send them a quick notification right to their smartphone. We can even have two-way communication back. So if a parent knows their student's not driving or taking the bus today, if they're 20 minutes out of the way for the bus, they can send a message to transportation. That way we can make sure the driver skips that stop as it's happening too. And then also finally, we keep the vehicles in sync. I mentioned that scenario, driver goes out, they're planning to drive bus 12 today. Well, maybe mom's expecting to get an alert when bus 12 is on the way. If that's got a flat tire, mom needs to know that there's a new bus driving her route too. That's why it's important, again, how all these pieces communicate and stay synced up in real time, because so many changes do happen right there on the fly, right? And then how do we keep track of operations back in transportation? So all of this is happening. You've got drivers on the road, you've got parents sending in requests. Routefinder PLUS is really your hub where you can monitor operations. And we're adding new functionality here all the time as far as what dispatchers and routers are able to see from here. But they're able to keep track of, as students get on the bus and swipe, they can see those students swiping on and off the bus there. Can keep track, how many actual riders do I have on this bus? I think I've got 60 assigned, but I can take a look and see, actually, there's only 20 kids riding today. I can make sure that students are swiping on and off at the correct stop. I could see that planned stop information, and I could see where they're actually getting on and off the bus. And then we could keep track of other features as well, like vehicles on-time performance, see unplanned or missed stops that the bus is doing. This kind of high-level overview allows you to catch issues and catch mistakes before phone calls are coming in.
You know, some of the things right here we're talking, there's some really good questions. Of course, I think a lot of people want to talk about the parent app and the navigation. I think, I could see the questions. I think, right, everyone sees it, like they want to see that. So we want to, let's
Let's
tell
jump
everyone,
into it.
stay tuned. But some things do require GPS for sure. Some things do require GPS on the vehicle, but some do not. And I think obviously our navigation product does not require GPS. It's because it's a tablet or it's a phone. And there's so many questions around that. So I think I got to tell you, just from the excitement, I got to call it that, from the attendees here, they want to talk about parent app and the navigation app. So let's get going, right? I think.
Let's just wrap up this this last piece. So I've talked a little bit about what our clients are saying. I've gone through some of these pieces, but we do want to hear some feedback. So before we jump into our parent and in-vehicle app, I think we have a quick poll that we just want to hear. what pieces are important to you when it comes to transportation. So go ahead and fill that out. We'll give it a minute. And then like you said, Tony, we'll jump into our parent app and our in-vehicle app here.
Cool. So let's just see what you just again back to this poll here. It's not, remember we have another big poll at the end that we have. It would just already give you the link and the QR code. It's just really, what do you see as the most important part? Again, whether you have our product or not, what do you see as the most important? So let's just give a minute or two, maybe one more minute, just to choose one, and let's move on if we can.
Are we ready to jump on, or give it another minute?
I think we're good.
All right, let's do it. So
actually,
again,
so we have some. We do have some poll results. Don't know if I can see it right here. Good, here it is. So, what does that mean? So again, here it is. I mean, it's always up there, right? The accuracy of where the map and the student. We can't underestimate that. There's a lot of products out there. There's a lot of choices that all of you have, but if you can't make changes to the map, what are you doing? You got to just ask yourself, what does that mean? I can't change that. So it's tied to easy to make changes. Easy to make change. It's an opinion, right? We're always going to say our product is easy to use. Of course, we're never going to say it's hard to use, but you can't argue about how accurate the maps are, and that's the maps are. So I think that to me stands out big time. Good, thank you. Right? Did everyone see that, or is that just I don't know if that's just what I saw. Bridget, did everyone see that poll? Good. Thank you.
Oh, perfect. I think we're
so
ready.
I got monitors everywhere here, so
Tony's
cool.
at HQ with the operations.
Feels great here.
All right, I'll make sure, Tony. We're sharing my screen still. Polls are gone, and we're jumping into parent app here. Perfect. So when we talk parent app, Transfinder offers a app that can be downloaded really on any smartphone, Android, iOS compatible, called Stopfinder. And our goal with this parent app was not just to be an app that tracks a bus and gives you a ping. We really wanted a solution that's going to give full transparency to parents. And districts can choose what they're sharing, what they're not. But some of the benefits we're going to talk through are you have all of your student information in one place. You're going to have those geo alert notifications. That's a checkbox, as Tony always calls it, that ability to be able to get notified when the bus is on its way. But we also offer things like two-way communication. So I can send alerts to parents. Parents can send feedback back to transportation. And then even tied into this, we have the ability to do attendance tracking. So if you're tracking student ridership on the bus, that can be getting shared out with parents as well. I want to jump in and kind of go through what some of these features mean. And again, really, it's about offering as much transparency, but you've got to have a platform like Routefinder PLUS that allows you to manage your transportation accurately, to get comfortable enough to feel like you can share this kind of stuff with your parents and stakeholders. So that's why we do offer this system on a system that's synced up and all working together. So first thing I wanted to mention is how we share all this information in one place. So if I've got multiple students in the district, I don't need to log in and memorize a student ID for each of them. I can log in and see all of my students in one place. And what I'm going to see there is not just where's the bus, I'm going to see all their planned route information. So I could see what's the stop location, what time are they supposed to be picked up and dropped off, what's the route that they ride on, so that I know when they get out of school, they get on the right bus there. And then we can tap that information. We can see a full map of their route. So if you want to share stop locations, driving path, you could even share a live vehicle view if you choose to. All that information can be accessed by simply logging into the Stopfinder application.
Zach, a lot of we know there's a lot of products out there that our clients and the industry's really been using, and a lot of them are saying, "Oh, can you integrate with that product?" And we can. There's a lot of products out there that before Stopfinder, we were promoting those products. We were promoting almost every product out there, saying, "Hey, if you have it, what happens is data gets pulled out of the routing system and it's presented through some sort of integration. The advantage, and I just want to make sure we're still obviously, if you have that with other companies, I see Synovia coming up a lot, and Zonar. Those are premier partners of ours. We can still support those. Why are we talking about why Wayfinder is, and really Stopfinder? What's the advantage of these products? Is that there's no integration. It's live. Anything's made. There's no like, hey, yo, who turned off the spigot here? Why is my sprinkler not working? Well, someone had maybe something happened. Someone stepped on the hose, right? It's freezing out there. I'm talking about watering our lawn, but those are the things that happen. And if you have those products, those are the things that could go wrong. And now at this point saying, well, Zach, is it us or is it them? Is it the hose? Guess what? If Stopfinder's not working, there's only one company you need to call, and it's called Transfinder. So yes, we're going to continue supporting those products. Of course we are, but I just want to let the audience know that's really the advantage of having the all-in-one solution. If something's not working, there's only one company you're going to call, and we need to make sure if it's not working, get it fixed. Okay.
The other thing that I would say is, a lot of our clients have asked for more accuracy, especially around things like special education routing. There's so many changes. They have full daily calendars that they're routing. Sometimes sharing this out to other vendors is complicated because they don't have support for that, right? Having an all-in-one.
And Zach, how about we have all that data, right? And as our data is just even more, and all these user-defined fields and forms, it's growing. Well, there's these third-party companies are not going to say, hey, we need a place where we could just put user-defined information, such as, well, for our driver app, we want to have picture of the parent. Well, maybe they didn't have a place for that. And this is the thing, that it's integration. It's always after the fact. And can I give you one more analogy? I remember growing up, people would buy a brand new car. You buy a brand new car, that whole smell. But what's the first thing people did when they bought a new car? In my generation, you know what they did? They went out and got themselves a stereo, because they realized that's a brand new car, smells nice, but lame stereo. So they would go to some company, they would put on, and probably even replace the speakers and all that nice sound, clear, not that thing that you can even, I don't know, well, I can't even hear what it says because it's so much bass. Really nice, high quality, right? And I'm sure a lot of you in the audience know what I'm talking about. Eventually, these companies, all of them, have determined, what am I doing? There's an opportunity for me to have it. They don't have to scratch up the dash. I mean, think about it. Some of you have some nice cars, beautiful wood. Like, I'm going to trust somebody that's going to use a screwdriver and take that out, so that way maybe it sounds better. So these companies have realized, I'm going to build it in. You're going to get a high quality radio system, sound system baked into your Toyota, right? And I think that's really what we're looking at. It's like, wait a minute. We want a great experience for our clients. We need to provide these ourselves. Doesn't mean you're Toyota, you can't go to your radio company or electronics company and say, hey, I want it to be even better than that. You can still do that, but a lot less companies are doing that now, as you know. So just give you that.
Before I jump off the screen, I just want to talk about how we are sharing a lot of information on the screen. So I just want to stress that districts do have the control and the power. What am I going to share with parents? Do I want to show them their actual bus vehicle's location while it's out on the road? Maybe, maybe not, right? Do I want to show them the full route path and other stops? That's fully up to the district, right? They can turn those things on and off and choose what they do want to share and don't want to share with parents. So next piece I wanted to jump into, though, is with our parent application, is the idea of geo alerts, right? So this is that concept of a notification. We've taken geo alerts a little bit of a step further because we want to give parents the power to customize these as well. So if a parent wants to get an alert when the bus is on its way, they can create a geo alert or even multiple geo alerts. That way they give themselves a 15-minute, a 10-minute, and maybe a 5-minute warning when the bus is on the way. They can set the location they want to get alerted as the bus enters or exits an area. And what'll happen is they'll get pinged directly to their smartphone as the bus is on the way. And we just hear from districts all the time how much this is improving things like on-time performance. Kids are actually getting out to the bus stop on time because they know the bus is right around the corner. Tony, I'll check in. Any other thoughts on the kind of geo alert functionality?
I'm trying to multitask, and I don't believe in multitask because you really can't do a good job. So I'm one ear, I'm listening, and the other ear, I don't know what I'm doing with the other ear, but I'm reading. So much going on. People
Lots
are
of
really
chats.
asked a lot of
Lots of
chats.
chats.
There are really a lot of chats, and really they're engaging text chats here. So thank you so much. I'm trying myself to keep up. Rick just came over like, you need to answer that one. It's like, I know, I hear you. And of course, I'm trying to come up with what's the right way. And I'm typing. I hate typos too. It slows me down. But great chats. I think a lot of them are saying, some of your small district, how do I get this technology? Well, yeah, this is where when you start doing third parties, it starts adding up really fast, and there are unknown costs. So let's have conversation, talk to your account executive, talk to your service representative. Let's just talk about these things. There's so many things you could do today. The first thing I would say, if you're a Transfinder client, just have a conversation before you start buying things. Like, you imagine you show up and you show up, you go to the market, and without talking to your spouse, you buy all the stuff, and I go, "What'd you do that for? We already had this. Why don't you talk to me next time?" So that's the thing. You know, maybe it's a poor analogy. Well, every time I'm going to the supermarket, I'm on the phone with my wife. Like, all right, what do we need to get? What aisle is it? All that stuff, right? And that's why, because I'm not buying 3 gallons of milk if we already got one at home. It's that kind of stuff. So keep that in mind. Please, let's talk. We might give you the same recommendations, like, yeah, buy that, but let's just please talk.
Last piece I wanted to touch on with Stopfinder is the communication piece. And I've talked about this a bit, but how we offer two-way communication. And I've seen a lot of questions about, does this require GPS and tablets and installs? Stopfinder communication is a tool lots of our districts are using with no GPS. It's just a way to be able to share information to parents and communicate with parents here. So what our communication tools allow you to do is you can send instant messages to targeted users. So I can send a blast to my parents saying, hey, there's going to be changes or we're closed for the holiday. But I can also target my message and say, hey, I need to let parents know for the last 3 stops on this route that the bus is running late because it just broke down. And I could take just those stops and communicate to just those parents. And again, with communication, our parent app's allowing you to send alerts and notifications direct to a parent's smartphone. That way they don't need to go log into a website or check their email. Wherever they're at, they're able to be able to get those messages here with our communication.
Zach, I got to add another thing too, because the chats are definitely flying. Thank you again. It's a full customizable experience. So, and I keep saying that, but I mean that. Zach is just scratching the surface. With Stopfinder, there's so much you could do to turn on functionality for parents. Someone asked, look, can I see other stops of other kids? Great question. I truly believe it's okay, because a school bus is not camouflaged. I could tell when the red lights flashing are going on. So I like it, because as a parent, I could say, hey, I get a sense of how far the vehicle is. You could show the path, you could show other stops, or don't do that. Don't show the path. Don't show, only show the stop of my child. Or don't let me get alerts. Maybe you want to turn that features off, because maybe, today's a bad day. You got a lot going on. And maybe we turn off the alerts. Maybe send a message to the parents saying, the alerts are turned off, for some reason, right? So you got so much power and so much customization that Zach can't even cover in just, in an hour or so. So I just want to let you guys know as the chats are coming through. All right, go ahead.
That's it, right? So those are the last big pieces. Stopfinder, we talked about communication. We talked about two-way communication. One feature that we love is our ability to create custom forms. So we see schools doing paper forms or using Google Forms. So we've incorporated forms into our transportation platform as well. So you can create custom forms and survey your parents as well. So send them out. Hey, let us know about changes. Let us know feedback. Let us know, is your address correct? Do we need to update any of this information? So all that can be shared out through our Stopfinder parent app as well. But that's a piece I wanted to pause on there for parent app. Again, we did want to do a quick poll and just get some feedback here. like we did with routing, we want to hear what things are important to you for a parent application. So we'll pause for another second. We'll get some feedback there and hear, what do you guys care about?
Again, we're only let you choose one single choice, but I'm sure a lot of them are, it's a close tie, you know, so if just, some of you are not doing attendance tracking, which means, you know, you need some technology. What does that mean? You need an RFID reader, you need some cards, and remember, cards kids lose. You have to have a way to replace them. Or attendance could just be, I call it a fat finger approach, which means the driver, when they're at the stop, and if they have a tablet, they could just fat finger, like, yep, Tony's just got on the bus. So there's a lot of those things right there. So let's maybe give 30 seconds. We have, and we could just move on to the next one. All right. Think we got it. Let's go.
You want to take a
share
look
it.
at some of the results?
All right. So what took it? Beautiful. Plan route information. That's what you want that. And by the way, plan route information, how do you get that? Again, I'm not knocking third-party companies. We were promoting them like crazy. We still recommend them. But how do you get plan route if it's not coming from your routing system? So that's what I'm going to always say. That's a big piece. Ranked number one. Live vehicle tracking, to me, that's like baseline. I would hope everyone says yes to that. But because the other things are so important, you had to pick one. Real-time alerts. I mean, to me, those first two items, Zach and everyone else, that's basic. If you don't get those things, no, I don't even want to talk about that yet. So those two things are just basic. Love that some of you had to like say, nah, live tracking or plan route information. I'm going with plan route information. Thank you, because that makes a lot of sense. And then send instant messages to a targeted users, of course. So you could, in our system, you have a map. You could literally just make tons of filters. You could little lasso them, a little shape north of a river or something, saying the bridge is out. Boom. You could send it to just that group. Very, very customizable. So yeah. And listen, I don't know how you guys, some of you did this because you can only choose one, but I'm excited about those bottom two because that is our secret sauce. How do you pull this off with another product? Again, a lot of you are using third-party companies, and we're going to continue supporting them. They're good companies. Very difficult to do those bottom two. All right.
Well, Tony, what I'll say too is to feel comfortable sharing planned route information means you have to have a lot of trust in your routing platform, that you're able to route accurately, that you've got kids on the buses on the right days, starting and stopping when they need to. So that is why clients
Alternate
love
sites, grandma's
that.
house, all those things, right? All
it.
that information. So those are, different day of the week, and it's getting more complex. It's getting more complex. I could see it. And for you, they've had Plus for a while. Look at what's happening with Plus, how we're even adding more exceptions. Not only is it calendar, but we're even have exceptions to a calendar-based thing. So it's going crazy with that. So how do you keep up? That's why when you have a pipe, it's a solid pipe. There's no connections. It's solid.
Well, I want to wrap up by talking about our in-vehicle app for drivers. And this is one that so many districts have been turning to as they're dealing with driver shortages, substitute drivers. They're pulling people, out of classrooms to get on a bus and go drive. So having good resources for your drivers is huge, right? And so talking through our in-vehicle app, what it offers is it offers drivers the ability to manage their resources. I've talked about this a little bit, but how quickly changes happen. Am I picking up a shift for somebody else that called in sick today? Am I changing my vehicle at the last second? It also is offering those turn-by-turn navigation. And we see this as sometimes the number one reason that districts want to bring in-vehicle apps in, is they want substitutes to have accurate turn-by-turn navigations. They're not having to read off a piece of paper while they're out on the road. But we've also really tried to replace any need for any of that information. So we offer full student rosters, so drivers can see whatever information about students that they need to, as well as manage attendance tracking. So as students get on and off the bus, they can either swipe, using swipe cards, or you can manually track students, tapping our in-vehicle app to tap students on and off the bus. And I'll wrap up with attendance tracking and custom forms for drivers as well. So we talked about forms for parents, but drivers may need to have forms as well for student conduct or vehicle instances. A lot to cover within vehicle app. Tony, anything to add before we jump in?
I'm even get some feature requests right now. So I'm again, Wayfinder is it's BYOD. Bring your own device. Could be on a whether it's on a phone, a tablet, could really be on anything. Some people ask even like, can drivers have it at their home? If you allow them to have installed this app and you give them that information on their device, they can. There's this cool thing in there that's lets you simulate routes. They could look at it. I mean, I think for substitute drivers, this product is a must-have. Especially you could have a low cost by having your own devices, especially if you already have them. Obviously, if you want to get them mounted, locked in, those are nice, but they cost more money. So you got to figure out where do you want to start. There's always a good starting point, and you could grow into it. So there's a lot of good things in there that I've been hearing about this.
I'll start with some of the pre-navigation tools we give drivers. I mentioned a little bit about changing out resources like vehicles and trips that a driver's driving, but they can make changes on the fly to a trip as well. So again, if they know that they need to skip a stop or they need to change the sequence of a stop, they can do that right from in the app. Now, this is hugely important because our main goal is when they get out on the road, we want them to have accurate turn-by-turn navigation. So if I mark to skip a stop for today, the software is going to reroute. Again, we've talked about utilizing your map so that we can safely reroute the driver, and it's going to give them accurate turn-by-turn navigation when they hit the road. But we're not letting drivers reroute your platform. So when they log in tomorrow, it's still going to be the planned route information. They're just able to make changes on a day-by-day basis. We've talked about how we keep historical tracking for day by day. So I could see what stops were skipped, what days, and transportation can use that information to make decisions going forward. Another big function I want to talk about is a turn-by-turn navigation. Like I said, this is hugely important when you're dealing with substitute drivers. They're getting spoken direction. So I know a lot of districts are not going to allow you to have an on-screen device while the driver's not driving. We can have the device go dark and get spoken turn-by-turn directions while they're out there.
I got to add some stuff right here. People are talking about railroads and block streets, all that stuff. Perfect. I love it. And I know you're going to be talking about some other things here because as you can see on this map here, the vehicle is again, it's not north. People think, you're looking plus the orientation is pointing north. You can notice there's a compass right there, which that's no. So you're really driving northwest. I got to think quick here, but you notice you bake in how you want to approach to stop two. And again, you don't even think about this, right? You want to approach stop two from that side. You want to approach it because you want to make sure the door is on the right hand side. All that information is there. If the driver somehow has to take a turn prior to that, has to take a turn because something's going on, the system's going to reroute, but forces to approach stop two that way. It's always going to do that. Another thing I'm hearing, what about if they have railroads and you want to block certain areas? What happens there? Beautiful. Anything you do to plus happens right here. And again, you could have travel scenarios. So this particular trip is a morning trip. So you could have morning travel scenario. Anything you do to the morning, that's really where it's beautiful. A lot of the routers, we're getting some routers are saying, I know where not to take the turn. I'm not going to design the route that way. And you're right. But when it goes to the driver, especially a substitute driver, and somehow, it happens, right? You're traveling, you got a lot going on, traffic's going, you take the wrong turn. No big deal. I'll get back on path. Well, we want to get you back on path the way the route was initially designed with all that information. All those, don't take a left hand there, don't take the left hand there. Don't travel that direction. Those are all things that you can't memorize. Our system will guide the driver based on all those criteria that it's part of the map. So I hope I made that clear.
That's it.
Right?
One big functionality that I always talk to with our in-vehicle app is we want to make this hands-off for drivers. So what you'll see is as drivers are approaching stops, they never need to interact with the device. The screen will automatically bring up your attendance screen. So as they approach a stop with students, they'll have their attendance screen open up. And here's where you can integrate, again, whether it's manually tracking students, tapping students on and off the bus, or if you're integrating with an RFID card reader or a system like that to have students swiping on and off the bus, you'll be able to track that attendance right through the app. So navigation and attendance are really the big picture getting offered here with that in-vehicle app. So one thing that I love about the functionality here is not only can I see what students am I expecting, but we give you a full student roster. And this is customizable. What information is your district need to share with drivers? So I could share information like, give me a parent contact phone number, give me a list of appropriate parents to be able to pick the student up at the stop. I can also have information like, does the student have any medical needs? All that information can be stored on a student's record. So a driver taps that student, they'll be able to see these roster screens here. And like I said, the information the driver is going to see is all customized by you. What do you need to share? Is it a field that we track already? Or is it a new user-defined field, something specific to your district? Like who's the student's homeroom teacher, for example? All that information can be stored. All of it can be shared out with your drivers as well.
Again, this is the part that I've talked about. This is the customization that you do, and you could have all that information on your routing system. It'd be almost a shame that you do all that work and then all of a sudden the navigation system for your driver can't take advantage of all that work. That's why that's why Wayfinder is really becoming very popular from that point of view.
That's and so we've talked already about how these pieces work together. Students' attendance is being tracked as they get on and off the bus. That information is going immediately back to transportation. I can see what kids are riding, which kids aren't. If I get a phone call from a parent, I'm able to see that information right away. Or with our integrated parent app, I can even share that information out to a parent and say, here's a notification, your student just swiped off the bus at 2:47 p.m. Last piece I want to wrap up with our in-vehicle application. We talked about forms and how they integrate for parents. Lots of good uses there, but we also have forms for our drivers as well. So integrated into our in-vehicle app is our form finder tool.
Zach, I think we skipped one screen. I don't know, maybe I was not paying attention. Is there a screen prior to this one right here?
You're talking about the attendance tracker, yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Again, my head was down here. I didn't see it. You talked about this. People are asking, could they manually add a student? And there is right there. You could actually add a student, and then you could search all that information. So you could manually select on or off. And then you could click right there. So someone asked that. So I just want to make sure that is there. And then on top of that, you have all that information for what happened today. That is all that information. Parents see it. You see that information. Who got on? And who did not get on, and who got on a different bus, and a different stop. And by the way, here you could even, the driver, imagine this, right? Could they even intentionally create an unplanned stop, right? As kids come on, by the way, as kids come on with an RFID card, it's going to happen automatically. If the vehicle stops a certain place and a kid swipes on with their card, guess what we do? We create a unplanned stop at that location with that student, whether they're planned or not. But remember, the driver could say, hey, you don't belong here. I just stopped here because it's a stop sign. So the driver could still say, don't get on here. But I know some questions are on here, so I don't know if you had this, so sorry if I.
That's all right. No, this covers a lot of the information. Districts want to be able to keep track of this variance that's happening out on the road. Are drivers making stops that aren't planned? Are they skipping stops that are planned? Where are students getting on the bus? Being able to keep track of that. Right now, what happens on the road is kind of a black box. So having this in-vehicle app, it gives the transportation department so much more insight into what's happening there.
And by the way, I just want to add, a lot of time we showed this app, it's always on a landscape. You could turn this in its portrait mode. There's a lot of, I personally like when I'm always testing navigation. I think I've simulated thousands of miles, but whenever I drive, I like it have it in this orientation, which is portrait mode, because you see the map looks cooler, looks better. But you could literally, based on what kind of mount you get, you could rotate it. I'm not recommending you drive around, and I'm not doing that, Rick. I don't drive around like that. That I'm actually holding this on my hand. But get the right mounts.
That's right? It's however it's mounted. So that was the final piece we were touching on, was the forms for drivers, right? And so there's lots of use cases. I think I even saw some coming in through chat. Yeah, if I need to do a student conduct form, if I need to do a vehicle incident form, even for districts that don't have a pre or post trip technology or process right now, they can create forms that are digital to be able to capture that information right from our in-vehicle app. These are fully customizable forms. We can put in whatever form questions you want, whether it's a map location, whether it's true, false, whether it's check marks. Drivers will pull the form up on the tablet, be able to fill those out. And again, all this is tied directly. So as the form's submitted, it comes right back into your routing platform. So you can see all that info really in one place there.
And a new version's coming out of our forms. We're really going nuts with forms, and some of you have actually filled out the form from the earlier. We could geotag. So in other words, we could literally get an XY coordinate. Doesn't have to be required. Some of you could say, I'm not sharing my location and we don't see where you are. But if you said, sure, I'm gonna let Transfinder show them where I am when I submit it to this form, we will see you, and it's okay. But you could require it. So in other words, a driver or someone has to fill out a form. It's required that they share their location. In other words, we don't want a form that somehow got snuck in by someone else and they're in 3 states over. Like, well, we're not gonna let that happen. So there's so much around the IPs. You could limit it within an IP, or you could limit within a geographic area that you can't fill out these forms. There's so much that we're doing with forms that we're gonna blow your mind in this. Cool. Zach, I think you went mute on us.
I went muted. You're right. So I was just saying, I think that brings us up on time. It was a lot that we were trying to cover, a lot of products, a lot of features, but really we wanted to convey how do our products communicate and work together, right? Because that's the piece that's been so important for us.
So we got 2 polls. One, let's just do a quick one about the poll, right? About the Wayfinder. So let's pull that up.
Yep.
Please, if we have it. And then we're going to give you that survey again, so that way take your time and fill it out for us. So again, what's the most important? You can only choose one. Paths, audible turn by turn, the roster, right? It's up to date information. Student attendance is pushed. Parents have access to this. The driver has access to the parents, and this happens, right? If you're dropping off a kid, you might require that mom has to be right there. If I'm substitute driver, how do I know what mom looks like? So you could have all that information. So, and I know somebody's asking, what's the big question? How much does it cost? It's significant. It's very expensive. I'm kidding. It ranges. It depends what you're looking for. These could be really low cost, especially if you bring your own devices, or if it's be fully mounted and guaranteed and all that stuff. It could be up there, but you have to make the decision. All right, I think that's it. Let's bring up that last. Good. What is it? Turn by turn. Thank you. How do you get turn by turn if the map is not what you've been using in your routing system? I'm so happy that was number 1, because that's always my indicator. How do you get turn by turn from a third party company if it's not using our maps, your logic, all those things? Number 1, that's what you see is the most important. I don't know how you could pull it off without using a system specifically from a routing company, which is Wayfinder. So I love it. That was it. Let's close that down. We want to hear from you. We get a chance. There's some couple things in there. We get a chance again. You can use your phone. There's a link. Maybe we could let's share that link one more time. Again, you just go there, use your phone with your camera, and it's a form. So we get a chance, go in there. We do want to hear about what you think about this webinar. There's a lot of things about, we're talking about COVID challenges. So, there's parts in there we want to definitely hear from you. And of course, we're talking about a lot about communications. How do you like to communicate with your staff? So there's some cool things in there. Yeah, and there is one part there, right? It's singing Telegram. That's probably a, a good way to communicate with the staff. At least you get a laugh about it. But there's some cool things about tablets and parent app. There's a lot going on, of course. It's a change. This industry is changing very fast, and technology is just coming on really strong. We'll take our time. We'll work it together. Just let's communicate. Again, I wouldn't go to the market without calling my wife. Like, what do we need? So I would do the same thing too. Don't. If you're going to buy something, let's have a conversation, and then let's partner together to see what makes sense. So that's really my big thing. I want to thank everyone for your time. We had a great participation, so thank you for being here. Zach, awesome
Appreciate
job.
it.
Anything you wanna finish with?
Yeah, again, we appreciate the time. I know there's so much to cover. Really, our big pictures, we just want to be able to communicate how important it is that we have all these pieces and how seamlessly they kind of connect. So hopefully that came across, wasn't too much of a whirlwind for this hour here, but appreciate everyone's time.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, everybody.